for the Mets with that win, still just one game on top of the Atlanta Braves. They lead them by one in the win column, by one in the win. So they should even up with this today. Braves. Two of them right now. Game and a half. So very tight in the NL wild card for all of. Mets will take on the Phillies in Philadelphia. That's going to be a little tough. That's not the only I hate this schedule this year. There's parts of it, like, I'm a victim of it. I went to Fenway to see my Cubs. Manfred got me for that night. But I hated it before and I hate it after. I just hate how the Yankees and Red Sox are only playing 13 games.
No, it's absolute
For
crap.
me, it's all the teams my Cubs would play in the National League Central. But the way it kind of shakes out, as you know, Manfred's doing, it's just these teams and the way they are, the Mets and the Braves, for them to be where they're at right now and to face the top two teams in their league, Dodgers and kind of fascinating the way that goes. But we'll be watching all these games this weekend, especially Braves, Dodgers, and Mets, Phillies.
All right. Overall, this is the history between the Yankees and the Red Sox. Yankees have an edge, 1,254 wins to the 1,039 wins.
Got some catching up to do
on the Red Sox. How about this, though? Tied in the postseason, 12-12.
That's crazy.
That's absolutely insane. Largest victory over the Red Sox was 22-1. That was in 2000, June 19th, 2000. Red Sox largest victories over the Yankees were 17-1 and 19-3, and those are recent. 17-1 was May 28th, 2005. And the other one was 19-3 was July 25th, 2019. So a lot less great pitching between the two teams since the 2000s rolled around. I wanted to finish this. Red Sox have 9 world championships. Anybody know how many the Yankees have? 27. 27. So 3 times more championships for the Yankees than the Sox.
On the stat watch right now, Aaron Judge just 4 up on Shohei in the home run category. I know they're 2 different leagues, so he's probably going to run away with it. 10 up on Santander.
You still want the home run title for Major League Baseball.
I agree. Judge in the lead for Major League Baseball and the American League by 20 RBI. J-Ram, Jose Ramirez, has 106.
Which is incredible.
And the batting average race, Bobby Witt Jr. continues to rake. He is now 1 out of every 3 times up getting a hit. 333 with his average. 321 is Vlad Guerrero, and then 320 with Judge. So Judge is the category he's needing to get keeps on slipping further away. 13 points behind Bobby Witt Jr. for the Triple Crown. Shohei watch. He got another home run last night, as I said. Now 4 away from Judge with 47. Stolen bases, 48. He's going to get there, man. He is going to get there. And Shohei at the plate as just a DH, a 50-50 season, boys and girls, is something none of us have ever seen before.
No, absolutely not. And listen, the fact that this guy's coming off of Tommy John surgery, where you would think that it would slow him down. As he gets healthier, he's still stealing bases, which I didn't think he would continue to steal bases the way he has. Like you said, he's at 48 and he's at 47. I definitely think he can get this done, but it just shows you what a complete player he is. I mean, you keep saying he's a DH, not you, but the people keep saying he's a DH and he can win the MVP. And you've had David Ortiz poo-pooing that, saying, well, he's the
he's not mad at Shohei. He's mad at Major League Baseball.
He is mad at Major League Baseball, but it was different. When you were the DH in the American League, you wouldn't have been able to play in the National League. There was no place on a field David Ortiz could play.
I didn't think about that.
And when he played first base for the Red Sox, he was a liability. It was like a playoff game, and it was like, okay, we're in a National League park, and you have to play this game. And so that's why David Ortiz would be at first base, or even during the regular season when they wanted him to play I don't want to say it's a catastrophe, but he was not a good fielder. He was never a good fielder. And when you look at Shohei can play the field. He can pitch. He's just an exception to the rule as far as anything we've seen. And, if you go back to Babe Ruth did play the field when he was with the Yankees because they didn't have DHs back then. Right. But he started as a pitcher that won 94 games and won a couple of championships with the Red Sox. So when Babe Ruth came up as a youngster, even though he could hit, they were like, listen, you're way more valuable to us in Boston as a pitcher. So when he was like 18, 19, 20, he was pitching for these guys. Then they traded him to the Yankees, and the Yankees are like, we're going to flip-flop you around. Now think about this back in the 20s. When there was a totally different mindset of pitching and hitting and things like that. So they were like, okay, well, we want you to play every day, and we want you to hit every day. And then the guy went out there and he put up over the course of his career 714 home runs. That's insane to me because he was hitting pretty well as a pitcher, but he was also very dominant as a pitcher. David Ortiz was never that guy. Shohei Ohtani is the first person in basically 100 years that could be a two-way player, pitch, hit. He's just unfortunately hurt this year. So when the people are voting on this, they're not saying, well, he's been a DH for 10 straight years, Look at Edgar Martinez. Edgar Martinez was basically shunned but Edgar was a good fielder. Then he blew out his hamstrings, got to the point where I think they removed them, and he could barely run at the end of his career.
How do you do that?
Because he had so much damage in there.
Wow, but how do you go through life without hamstrings?
I have no idea. I think it's a part of your anatomy that you can deal without them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So listen, remember Ken Griffey Jr. when he went to the Reds?
Yeah.
They had to put 4 screws into the bone on his hamstring to keep it there. Think about that surgery, saying to the guy going, well, listen, you're never going to run and jump like you used to, but hey, your hamstring is going to be, attached to the bone, and it'll probably stay that way for the rest of your life. So some of these guys have really kind of given on. I commend Shohei because he's had 2 Tommy Johns in 5 years. He will come back and pitch again, but the Dodgers knew that and signed him to a $700 million deal just so he could hit this year. So I'm not going to poo-poo winning the MVP if this guy goes 50-50 while he's rehabbing Tommy John. I still think that's exceptional. I thought what Bryce Harper did last year, which was come back early from Tommy John, not play the field, then play the field, then learn a new position at first base. It's not easy to learn new positions at the major league level. So all that being said, when this guy wins the MVP in the National League, I'm not going to be like, oh, he's the golden boy in Major League Baseball. I'm going to be like, holy crap, if this dude does 50-50, forget the two-way player. He has done something that nobody could imagine was possible.
Interesting matchup for the first game of this Red Sox-Yankees series. Cooper Criswell will take the ball for the Boston Red Sox. He's had 5 innings of work against the Yankees. It has not been the best. I mean, they've kind of kept him at bay because they pull him out before things get too out of hand. Has given up 5 runs in total. The ERA is hovering around 4 just versus the Yankees is what I'm talking. And Nasty Nestor Cortez on the other side. He's pitched 2 times against the Red Sox this time. 10 innings of work total, but he got roughed up as well in both of those outings. He's given up 5 earned runs this season to the Boston Red Sox. I felt like Nestor's last 2 starts have been more controlled, and it looks like he is, I don't know, less about the gimmicks of what you want him to be and more about the pitching.
Well, I mean, Cooper Criswell doesn't have a lot of time in the major leagues.
Right.
He spent a couple of seasons, made, I think, 1 start in 11 appearances.
And that's like an
with the
opener
Rays,
situation.
Right? And that's, but this guy has battled injuries and battled a whole lot in his career to be where he is right now.
I think he's had a good year this year.
6-4, dude, with a 4 ERA, I think is pretty damn special for this guy. And again, give the Red Sox credit. You've lost so many great pitchers over the last few years, and then you respawn by developing more guys, bringing some older guys up here, and giving guys opportunities and stuff, and there's still a fighting chance that they can make the postseason. I honestly think Alex Cora, and everybody knows I'm not a big fan of this dude.
Right.
He has done one of his best jobs of managing this team and keeping these guys, focused on trying to make the postseason. Casas was lost for a long time. Trevor Story just came back. So as they're getting healthier, you're actually getting some more weapons in there on the offensive side. And like we just saw against the Orioles, they shut down the Orioles offense, which is not easy. They've been pretty bad the last couple of weeks, the Baltimore Orioles, but give the Red Sox a lot of credit. Here's the thing with Nestor Cortes. His ERA is 2 runs worse on the road. He's lucky he's starting at home. Another thing I look at with Nestor Cortes, you're also in these last few starts here of the season fighting to be on that playoff roster and not be put in the bullpen. When they put him in the bullpen, he was popping off. And again, I made the point the other day, dude, you should be lucky that they didn't trade you at the trade deadline. You are on an all-star team, all-star defense, all-star bullpen, and now you're going to complain because they wanted to put you in the bullpen? They're talking about putting Gil in the bullpen.
Somebody's going to have to.
Somebody's going to have to. So these early rounds that are 3-game sets, you're not going to have 5 starters sitting there waiting to pitch. Right. You're going to go with your best 3 and then move on to the next round and the next round and the next round. And so that's the new format of the postseason. So for Nestor Cortes, instead of popping off saying, I was shocked that they put me in the bullpen, you should be like, I will do like Jazz Chisholm says, I'll do whatever they need me to do to win championship. That should be your answer. You need me to go in the bullpen? You want me to set up? You want me to close? You should be like excited, even though it could be fake. Dude, I'll do whatever it is. Nasty Nestor's going to go down there and do the job. That would help the rest of the team if somebody gets put on bench duty. All of a sudden, you're putting somebody else out there, Dominguez, in a game, and Judge's the DH, and maybe that puts Stanton on the bench. You don't hear Stanton popping off. This guy's an old veteran guy. He's making a boatload of money. You don't hear those guys making those kind of comments. So to me, dude, be happy you're on the Yankees. You're on one of the greatest organizations out there right now. And if they win the division, it's even better for you.
So true. And they can set up their pitching even better if they win the division. And I think that it makes a lot of baseball sense. I'm just a fan of having a guy that starts off as a typical 95-mile-an-hour fastball starting pitcher, a mix of 2 or 3, get you to the 5th inning, and then throw in Nasty Nestor with that change of pace and all that action at the mound.
And Filthy one time through. If you got to go 3 innings.
And that will help the closer, too, coming up after him.
Let's say 2 innings. You got to get 6 outs, Nestor. This guy's filthy nasty. He would be a great closer. He's like John Franco with extra fastball.
Just a good mix it'd be hard to adjust to in the middle of a real heated game. I do think there will be at least one, if not all 4 of these contests very heated at the end. And when you're talking about the final outs of Yankees baseball, you're thinking of Clay Holmes.
Oh, my God. Clay came in last night and gave it up again.
There's going to be another Clay Holmes situation this weekend, and I got a feeling Rafael Devers is going to be in the
7th inning last night. Close ball game. Did not do well. Here's the problem right now, I think, with Clay Holmes. They remember the Jabba Chamberlain and the Jabba rules and all that crap kind of messed with his brain. So right now, he's got the most blown saves in the major league. So you're like, okay, we're going to bring him in earlier in a tough spot. We're going to see if this guy can get. So he knows, not that he's been demoted, because they're not demoting you.
He knows they're figuring stuff out.
But they're trying to help him get his mind right and get his confidence back. Whether or not he needs it to come back or whatever, maybe he's just a little bit off this year with his stuff. Nick Federico's in here talking about Aroldis Chapman. Years ago, he used to throw 105, came to the Yankees, a little older, he was throwing 100. People were down on him. Now he's back with Pittsburgh throwing 103. It's all about confidence with pitchers. We're really flaky. So for this guy to come in and struggle a little bit last night, that's not good for the Yankees. So if you're Cortes and you could be like, hey, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to try to help this dude get his confidence back. And if he pitches the 7th and I pitch the 8th, I'm going to be like, listen, your job's still closing this for this team. A lot of being a good teammate is picking up the guys that are struggling. And right now, Clay Holmes is a guy, you will not win the championship without this guy. At some point, you will need Clay Holmes to get 3 outs. And if he can't do that, you're going to call on some other guy that doesn't have Clay Holmes' stuff. Right. That's going to be a problem for the Yankees. They need Clay Holmes to be confident and get his mind right in the last 2 weeks of the season.
No matter what happens, like if it's a 2-2 split and it's a moot point when it comes to the standings, that right there is the biggest question mark for the New York Yankees this weekend.
100%.
Clay Holmes.
100%. Making sure Garrett Cole stays healthy. Rodon keeps, get Rodon out of the first inning. If you get Rodon out of the first inning, he's golden, right? So, there's a lot of things that you're building towards the postseason, not just winning. It's not just about winning your division. It's about you've got to get all these guys right. Rizzo hasn't hit since he came off the IL. You got to get that guy right. What are you going to do? Either DJ LeMahieu's not hitting or Rizzo's not hitting. Which one's playing first?
Right.
So if I'm in the lineup around those guys, I'm like, so right now, you got a couple of guys. Chisholm is hitting. I like Dominguez's bat, but who knows what he's going to do once we get to the postseason and stuff like that, if he's even on the roster. There's a lot of question marks that going into this series. And then you got the other team, which is a sense of urgency. You got to win every out, every inning. You got to play well. It's Yankee Stadium for 4 games.
Right.
It sucks to be the Red Sox at Yankee Stadium. It's one of the worst. It's like going into the Lions' den. This is like a nightmare if you're a young guy and a guy that's not used to this. Now, Yankee killer, Rafael Devers.
Gonna bring this up.
Yankee killer.
Somebody loves it.
Again, I think Rafi is the kind of guy where he's talking to the younger players and Duran and some of the other guys, and he's like, "Hey, this is just another game. You should use this to pump you up and that kind of stuff. Don't think that it's a negative thing. People don't realize going into Yankee Stadium. Here's another thing: they do the roll call beginning of the game. They go around the infield. They go around the outfield. They yell everybody's name and stuff like that. If I was an opposing player, that might freak me out. So there's a lot of stuff that veteran players can help younger players with in this series because you might have to face the Yankees in the postseason if you make it.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different reasons why at this late juncture in September that you're facing the New York Yankees and how this can help you, not just for this year. That's why I hate them not playing 19 games a year, because you'd spend 9 or 10 games or 8 games at Yankee Stadium, which is huge for your development as a player in the rivalry.
You were used to 6:25 pregames. Tonight's to 6:35 pregame because we've got a 7:15 first pitch.
That's so weird.
A little national broadcast on Fox. So get it all over yourself tonight on television. If you can't get it on the radio right here on these Rob Dibble show stations.
I will probably have it on my phone while I'm watching the football game.
It's a good little trick.
For an old man, I'm starting to get the technology to where I might have 2 games on, 2 TVs in the same room, and a phone going on some other game, and it's just I had the Fever on last night.
Nice,
watching the Aces and the Fever.
Yeah.
So we didn't even talk about that yet. Asia Wilson with a single season scoring record last night, but God, she's
playing hurt.
Yeah,
playing hurt. I like to listen to the radio and get my Susan Waldman fix.
No, I do.
And then I watched the football game.
Rarely,
no sound.
Like if it's the Yankees, if it's not Paul O'Neill on there, I usually don't listen. If it's not Kevin Youkilis on there, I'm not listening to the Red Sox games.
Well, on the radio, hopefully we got Ricky Ricardo.
Ricky doing a good job?
Ricky's the best, a.k.a. Desi Arnaz.
Some youngsters might not get that reference.
Nobody gets that. That's
go back and look up I Love
under
Lucy.
The age of 40 or 45. No way.
It took me a long time to realize those two were married in real life.
Oh,
and
so
that
much.
Was like, because when you watch I Love Lucy, the early days, the black and whites, you don't realize how gorgeous she was. That red hair, she's so beautiful, but she makes herself look like a clown. She's a comedian in the show. You're like, oh my God, and then you're like, this guy is like a handsome crooner, like a Frank Sinatra type singer.
And that was real too. Like
it was all real. This dude, the entertainment value in that family alone is one of the greatest of all time.
So at the end, you'll see produced by Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, and I was always like, "Who the hell is this Desi guy?" You're like, "Oh, that's Ricky Ricardo."
That's Ricky Ricardo.
And he's Ricky Ricardo, so it can't be 2 people at the same time.
And that led to Desilu Productions.
Desilu Productions, that's right. So they made more money.
The first guy in my life that I realized you have a stage name and a real name. And that if you have 2 egos like that or 2 personas, you can really play some tricks. Ricky Ricardo, though, the broadcaster for the Yankees, one of our faves. Love that dude.
Absolutely.
I don't know if he's on tonight or not. It might be Shackle. Whatever.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back, do some dibbles and bits for you, and then it's on to the mascot challenge.
All right.
We'll be right back on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell in your afternoon drive.